Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel Ollie's and the Savior. If you enjoy audio series like this and want more exciting stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you also like Hindi audio series, then make sure to subscribe to our second channel AZTS Novel Hindi for amazing Hindi stories and content. Now, without wasting any more time, let's dive straight into today's story. Chapter 41. The Language of Herbs. The next morning arrived without fanfare. No dramatic shift in the sky. No sudden change in the air. Yet for Xiao Yan, it marked the beginning of something deeper than cultivation or combat. Understanding. The courtyard was quiet as always. The cauldron remained where it had been left, a silent witness to yesterday's efforts. Beside it lay a neatly arranged set of herbs, simple, unremarkable to the untrained eye. But today, they would become his focus. Yao Qin appeared slowly, his figure stabilizing as his gaze swept over Xiao Yan. "You're ready?" Xiao Yan nodded. "Yes." Because this time, there was no excitement, no impatience, only intent. "Good." Yao Qin gestured toward the herbs laid out before him. "Then we begin with the simplest truth." A pause. "Every herb has a voice." Xiao Yan blinked. "A voice?" Yao Qin didn't smile. "Not literally." He stepped forward, picking up a small green leaf. "But each one has a nature, a property, a behavior." He held it up slightly. "And if you don't understand that, you will never control it." The leaf was passed to Xiao Yan. "Observe." Xiao Yan took it carefully. At first glance, it seemed ordinary. But this time, he didn't rush. He focused. The texture, slightly rough. The smell, faintly bitter. "It's dried," he murmured. Yao Qin nodded. "And?" Xiao Yan frowned slightly. "Light, fragile." "Good." Yao Qin's voice carried quiet approval. "That tells you its basic nature." A brief pause. "Dry herbs react faster to heat." Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. "So it burns easier." "Yes." Understanding began to form. "Then I need less flame." Yao Qin nodded. "Exactly." Because this was the difference between guessing and knowing. "Now," Yao Qin continued, "try refining it again." Xiao Yan didn't hesitate. He moved toward the cauldron. This time, everything felt different. Not because the process had changed, but because his mindset had. The flame ignited. Gentle. Controlled. The herb entered the cauldron. It reacted immediately, but slower than before. Xiao Yan adjusted the flame. Slightly lower. The herb withered, but didn't burn. "It's working." Yao Qin watched silently. Because this was true learning. The structure broke down gradually. The essence began to form. No sudden collapse. No uncontrolled burn. Just steady refinement. Moments passed. Then, a small amount of green liquid appeared. Cleaner than before. More stable. Xiao Yan's eyes widened slightly. "This is better." Yao Qin nodded. "Because you understood it. Not luck. Not trial and error. Understanding." Xiao Yan looked at the result quietly. Then, back at the herbs. "Each one is different." "Yes." Yao Qin's gaze sharpened. "And that means—" The realization settled deeply. Because this was no longer simple training. It was knowledge. Then I need to learn all of them. Xiao Yan's voice was calm, but firm. Yao Chen smiled faintly. That will take time. A brief pause. But you've taken the first step. High above, Xiao Zhen watched in silence. The golden interface shimmered once more. Medicinal understanding, initial comprehension achieved. Refinement accuracy improved. Good. Because this was where true alchemists were made. Not through power, but through understanding. The low. Xiao Yan picked up another herb. This time, he didn't just see it. He studied it. Because now, he knew every leaf, every stem, every fragment held a secret. And he intended to learn them all. Chapter 42, Patterns of Control. The courtyard had transformed. No longer just a place of training. It had become a quiet field of study. Neatly arranged before Xiao Yan were rows of herbs, each slightly different in color, texture, and shape. Some were dry. Some moist. Some carried a faint aroma. Others, sharp and bitter. Xiao Yan sat cross-legged among them, his expression focused. Yesterday, he had learned that herbs had voices. Today, he would learn how to listen better. Across from him, Yao Chen watched quietly. What do you notice? Xiao Yan didn't answer immediately. He picked up a thin, pale stem. Felt it. This one is lighter than the others. He brought it closer. And it smells sharper. Yao Chen nodded. And what does that tell you? Xiao Yan's brows furrowed slightly. It reacts faster? Partially. Yao Chen stepped forward. This one contains a more volatile essence. A brief pause. It doesn't just react faster. It reacts violently if mishandled. The implication was clear. Not all herbs were forgiving. Xiao Yan's gaze sharpened. So I need even more control. Yes. Yao Chen's voice remained calm. Alchemy isn't about repeating the same action. It's about adapting. Because no two ingredients were truly the same. Then let's try it. Xiao Yan stood, moving toward the cauldron once more. The process began again. The flame ignited. Steady. Controlled. The herb entered the cauldron. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then, it reacted. Faster than before. The outer layer began to break down almost instantly. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed. Too fast. He lowered the flame. But not too much. The reaction slowed. But didn't stop. Good. Yao Chen observed silently. Because this was the key. Balance. The herb trembled within the flame. Its essence unstable. Xiao Yan adjusted again. Minute changes. Small corrections. The reaction stabilized. I'm holding it. But just as he thought that. Violently. What? The flame flared. The structure destabilized. Xiao Yan reacted instantly, trying to regain control. But the herb exploded into ash. Silence fell. I lost it. Yao Chen nodded. You hesitated. The answer was immediate. Hesitated? Yes. Yao Chen's gaze sharpened. When it destabilized, you reacted too late. The words struck deeply. Because Xiao Yan had felt it. That moment, where he paused. Even for a fraction of a second. And that was enough. Yes. Because in alchemy, a moment was everything. Xiao Yan clenched his fist slightly. Then, picked up another herb. Again. Yao Chen didn't stop him. Because this was how he would learn. The process repeated. Flame. Herb. Reaction. This time, Xiao Yan was ready. The moment the herb pulsed, he adjusted. No hesitation. The flame shifted, stabilizing the reaction. The violent fluctuation calmed. The structure held. That's it. Yao Chen's voice carried quiet approval. Because this time, he didn't hesitate. The refinement continued. Slow. Controlled. Until finally, a small amount of essence formed. Slightly unstable, but intact. Xiao Yan exhaled slowly. I did it. Yao Chen nodded. Better. Not perfect, but improved. Because now, he had learned something critical. Not just control, but timing. High above, Xiao Zhen observed silently. The golden interface shimmered once more. Adaptive control, initial success. Reaction response time, improved. Now he's learning. Because true mastery was not about avoiding mistakes. It was about correcting them instantly. The low. Xiao Yan looked at the refined essence. Then at the remaining herbs. His gaze sharpened. Because now, he understood something deeper. Alchemy wasn't static. It was alive. And to master it, he would need to adapt. Constantly. Without hesitation. Without doubt. Because even the smallest delay could mean failure. And he had no intention of failing again. Chapter 43, Precision Beyond Limits. The rhythm of the courtyard had changed. What was once a place of effort had become a place of refinement. Each movement, each breath, each flicker of flame now carried intent. At the center stood Xiao Yan, his expression calm, his eyes focused like never before. Around him, several small portions of refined essence rested in containers, each slightly different in clarity and stability. Proof of progress. But also, proof of imperfection. Across from him, Yao Chen observed quietly. You've improved? Xiao Yan didn't respond immediately. His gaze remained fixed on the cauldron. Not enough. Yao Chen's lips curved slightly. Good. Because satisfaction was the enemy of growth. Today, Yao Chen continued, you will learn the next step. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. There's more? Always. A brief pause. Up until now, you've been refining one herb at a time. Xiao Yan nodded. That's about to change. The air grew slightly heavier. You will refine two simultaneously. Silence. Xiao Yan's eyes widened slightly. Two? Yes. Yao Chen's gaze sharpened. Because real alchemy is never that simple. The implication. If one herb required precision, two would require control beyond comfort. Understood. Xiao Yan didn't hesitate. Because he knew. He stepped toward the herbs. Selecting two. One dry. One slightly moist. Different properties. Different reactions. Good choice. Yao Chen nodded faintly. Because this would test him. The flame ignited within the cauldron. Steady. Xiao Yan took a slow breath. Then dropped both herbs inside. The reaction was immediate. The dry herb began breaking down quickly. The moist one reacted slower. Two different speeds. Xiao Yan's eyes sharpened. If he adjusted for one, then I need balance. The flame shifted slightly. Divided. Not physically, but in intensity. The other. The reaction stabilized. He's doing it. Yao Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. Because this was not easy. The dry herb neared completion. The moist one still breaking down, increasing on the other, threatening instability. But he held it. Barely. Sweat formed along his brow. His breathing grew uneven. Because this demanded everything. Time passed slowly. Then, the first essence formed. Moments later, the second followed. Both imperfect, but intact. Xiao Yan exhaled sharply. His body trembled slightly. From exhaustion. From strain. But his eyes burned with determination. Yao Chen nodded slowly. Better than expected. Because most would have failed. But still flawed. The correction came immediately. Xiao Yan nodded. I know. Because he could see it. The imbalance. The lack of true precision. But that didn't matter. Because now, he understood something deeper. Control wasn't just about stability. It was about division. Focus. Split perfectly. High above. Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered once more. Dual refinement achieved. Control complexity increased. Mental strain high. Now he's stepping into real territory. Because from here, there was no going back. The low. Xiao Yan looked at both portions of essence. Then at the remaining herbs. His gaze steeled. Because this was no longer simple training. It was a challenge. Against his own limits. And he had just proven that those limits could be broken. But next time, he wouldn't settle for barely. Next time, he would make it perfect. Chapter 44 The Weight of Perfection. The courtyard was no longer quiet. Not because of noise, but because of intensity. An invisible pressure lingered in the air, born from repeated attempts, constant failures, and relentless effort. At the center stood Xiao Yan, his breathing slightly heavy, his gaze locked onto the cauldron. Before him, 3 portions of essence. All flawed. All incomplete. Again. His voice was low, but unwavering. Across from him, Yao Chen watched in silence. He didn't interrupt. Didn't correct. Because now, this was something Xiao Yan had to face alone. The flame ignited once more. Steady. Controlled. 2 herbs entered the cauldron. Different. Opposing. The reaction began. Fast. Complex. Xiao Yan's focus sharpened instantly. The flames split again. One side stronger. One side softer. The balance held. For a moment. Then, a fluctuation. The dry herb destabilized. Xiao Yan reacted. But a fraction too slow. Puff. Failure. His jaw tightened. Again. No frustration in his voice. Another attempt. Another failure. Again. Time passed. Sweat soaked through Xiao Yan's clothes. His breathing grew heavier. His control started to slip. You're forcing it. Yao Chen's voice finally broke the silence. Xiao Yan froze slightly. Forcing it? Yes. Yao Chen stepped forward. You're chasing perfection. A brief pause. Instead of understanding it. The words hit harder than any failure. Xiao Yan's gaze lowered slightly. Then what should I do? Yao Chen's expression remained calm. Slow down. Simple. But difficult. Perfection isn't speed. It's consistency. The meaning settled deeply. Because until now, Xiao Yan had been trying to reach the result faster. But that wasn't the path. I understand. He closed his eyes briefly, taking a deep breath. Letting go. Of urgency. Of impatience. When he opened his eyes again, they were calmer. Sharper. The flame ignited once more. This time. Slower. More deliberate. The herbs entered the cauldron. The reaction began. But Xiao Yan didn't rush. Didn't overcorrect. He watched. Felt. Adjusted. Only when necessary. The dry herb began to destabilize. He responded instantly. No hesitation. The flame shifted, stabilizing it. The moist herb slowed. He increased heat slightly. Balanced. Perfectly timed. The process continued. No sudden movements. No panic. Just control. Then, slowly, both essences formed. Clearer. More stable. Not perfect. Xiao Yan exhaled softly. This time. Yao Chen nodded. Better. Because now, he wasn't chasing perfection. He was building it. Step by step. High above. Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered once more. Refinement stability improved. Mental state balanced. That's the difference, because true mastery was not about forcing results. It was about understanding the process. The low. Xiao Yan looked at the refined essences. At the remaining herbs. His expression. Calm. But determined. Because now, he understood something important. Perfection was not a single moment. It was a path. And he had just taken another step forward. The flame in the cauldron flickered gently. No longer wild. But steady. Like him. And from that steadiness, true power would one day emerge. Chapter 45 The Birth of a Pill. The courtyard stood in quiet anticipation. Not the silence of rest, but of culmination. Days had passed since Xiao Yan began learning the nature of herbs, refining them one by one, then two at a time. Failure. Correction. Understanding. Again and again. Until now. He stood at the threshold of something greater. Across from him, Yao Chen watched with a calm, steady gaze. You're ready. Xiao Yan didn't ask what he meant. Because he already knew. A pill? Yao Chen nodded. Yes. A single word. But it carried immense weight. Up until now, you've only refined essence. A brief pause. Today, you will combine them. Creation. True creation. Xiao Yan took a slow breath. His eyes turned toward the cauldron. Because this was the real beginning. Several refined essences lay before him. Different properties. Different strengths. Each one unstable on its own. What's the key? Yao Qin didn't hesitate. Balance. A pause. And timing. Because combining them was far more dangerous than refining them individually. Understood. Xiao Yan stepped forward. The flame ignited. Steady. Calm. He lifted one portion of essence and guided it into the cauldron. Then another. The moment they met, the reaction began. Violent. The two essences clashed, rejecting each other. Stabilize it! Yao Chen's voice cut through instantly. Xiao Yan reacted. The flame shifted, trying to balance the energies. But the clash was too strong. The essences began to collapse. No! He adjusted again. Too much heat. They destabilized further. Too little. They separated. Find the midpoint. Yao Chen's voice remained sharp. Xiao Yan's focus intensified. He slowed everything down. Not physically, but mentally. Watching. Feeling. The moment of balance came and went. He missed it. Boom! The cauldron shook slightly. The essences destroyed. Silence. Xiao Yan stared into the cauldron. Failed. Yao Chen nodded. Of course. No disappointment. Because this was expected. Again. The word came without hesitation. Another attempt. The flame ignited. The essences entered. The clash began. This time, Xiao Yan was ready. He didn't rush. He observed. The moment they began to reject, he adjusted. The flame softened, then strengthened, then balanced. The clash weakened. The two essences began to merge. Slowly. Carefully. That's it. Yao Chen's voice was low. Because this was the critical moment. The merged essence began to spin. Condensing. Compressing. Xiao Yan's breathing slowed. His focus. Absolute. The flame tightened. Shaping the energy. Guiding it. The spinning mass became smaller. Denser. Then it solidified. A small, rough pill formed. Dark green. Uneven. But real. Xiao Yan's eyes widened. He didn't finish. Because he didn't need to. Yao Chen nodded slowly. You've done it. Not perfect. Not refined. But successful. The first pill. Xiao Yan reached forward carefully. Picking it up. It was warm. Slightly rough. Imperfect. But his. This. His voice was quiet. Is what I created. Not borrowed. Not given. Created. Yao Chen watched him closely. Remember this moment. Because this was the beginning. High above, Xiao Zhen stood silently. The golden interface shimmered brightly. First pill created. Quality low. Stability acceptable. Achievement complete. Good. Because now, everything changed. The low. Xiao Yan clenched the pill gently in his hand. A new fire burned within him. Not just of power, but of creation. Because this small, imperfect pill marked the first step toward a path that could shake the world. And from this moment forward, he was no longer just a cultivator. He had become an alchemist. Chapter 46, value of a pill. The small, uneven pill rested quietly in his palm. Warm. Real. For a long moment, Xiao Yan simply stared at it. Not because of its appearance. It was crude, far from perfect. But because of what it represented. Creation. Don't admire it for too long. The calm voice of Yao Chun broke the silence. It's still flawed. Xiao Yan let out a faint breath. I know. But even so. His grip tightened slightly. Because this was the first thing he had created with his own hands. What kind of pill is it? Yao Chun stepped closer, his gaze settling on the pill. A basic recovery pill. A brief pause. Low grade. Simple. But important. What does it do? Restores a small amount of dou qi. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. Because that was not insignificant. In battle, even a small recovery could decide everything. So this, he looked at the pill again, has value. Yao Chen nodded. Everything an alchemist creates has value. A brief pause. The question is. His gaze sharpened slightly. How much? The words lingered. Because now, Xiao Yan began to understand. Alchemy wasn't just about cultivation. It was about influence. Power beyond strength. Then I need to improve it. His voice was calm. But firm. Because a flawed creation was not enough. Yao Chen's lips curved slightly. Of course. From now on, you will refine the same pill again. Xiao Yan frowned slightly. The same one? Yes. Yao Chen nodded. Until it's perfect. The meaning was clear. Repetition. Refinement. Mastery. Understood. Xiao Yan didn't argue. Because he knew. This was the only way forward. He stepped toward the cauldron again. The pill in his hand. He placed it aside carefully. Not discarding it. But preserving it. Because it mattered. The flame ignited once more. Steady. Controlled. The process began again. Herbs. Refinement. Essence. This time. Faster. Cleaner. More precise. Xiao Yan's movements flowed more naturally. Less hesitation. Less error. But still. Not perfect. The essences formed. He began the fusion. The clash came again. But this time, he controlled it better. The balance held longer. The condensation began. The pill formed. Slightly rounder. Slightly smoother. But still flawed. Xiao Yan exhaled. Better. Yao Chen nodded. But not enough. No praise. No leniency. Because improvement was expected. Again. The word came naturally now. Time passed. One attempt. Then another. Each pill. Better than the last. Less rough. More stable. But still imperfect. Sweat formed again. Fatigue returned. But Xiao Yan didn't stop. Because now, he understood something deeper. This wasn't about creating a pill. It was about refining himself. Each attempt sharpened his control, strengthened his mind, deepened his understanding. High above, Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered once more. Pill refinement loop initiated. Quality trend increasing. Consistency improving. This is the real growth. Because true mastery was built through repetition, through effort, through persistence. The low. Xiao Yan completed another refinement. A new pill rested in his palm. Smoother. More stable. Still not perfect. But closer. He looked at it quietly. Then, back at the cauldron. Again. Because he wasn't done. Not yet. Not until he reached perfection. Chapter 47, The Threshold of Perfection. The cycle continued. Flame. Refinement. Fusion. Failure. Then again. Flame. Refinement. Fusion. Improvement. The courtyard had long lost its sense of time. Only effort remained. At the center stood Xiao Yan, his movements slower now, but far more precise than before. Around him, several pills lay arranged neatly. Each one smoother. Each one more stable. A clear progression. But none were perfect. Your control has improved. The calm voice of Yao Chen echoed softly. Xiao Yan didn't look up. It's still not enough. Yao Chen's eyes reflected faint approval. Good. Because complacency was still absent. Then try again. No hesitation. No delay. The flame ignited once more. This time, it was different. Not just steady, but refined. The herbs entered the cauldron. Their reactions predictable. Controlled. Xiao Yan adjusted the flame instinctively. No overthinking. No hesitation. Everything flowed. The essences formed. Clearer than before. More stable. Then, the fusion began. The clash came. But this time, it was weaker. Because Xiao Yan anticipated it. The flame shifted instantly, balancing the energies, guiding them, not forcing. The fusion stabilized. The essence spun, condensed, compressed. Xiao Yan's breathing slowed. His focus absolute. The final step approached. The flame tightened, shaping, refining. And then, it happened. The pill formed. Round. Smooth. Its surface even. A faint glow. Barely visible. But present. Xiao Yan's eyes widened. This? He didn't move. Didn't speak further. Because he knew. This was different. Yao Chen stepped closer. His gaze fixed on the pill. Then, he nodded. Acceptable. A single word. But this time, it carried weight. Because this was no longer flawed. It had crossed the threshold. I did it. Xiao Yan's voice was quiet, but filled with certainty. Not excitement. Not disbelief. Just understanding. Because he knew what it had taken. The failures. The corrections. The repetition. All of it had led to this moment. High above, Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered brightly. Stability high. Consistency established. Now he's ready. Because this was the threshold. Beyond this, the path would only grow harder. But also more rewarding. The low. Xiao Yan picked up the pill carefully. Its surface smooth beneath his fingers. Its energy stable. Real. Not luck. Not chance. But mastery. A small step. But a true one. He looked at it quietly. Then closed his hand. Because this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The flame in the cauldron flickered gently. Calm. Controlled. Just like him. And from this point forward, there would be no turning back. Only progress. Only growth. Only ascent. Toward true perfection. Chapter 48. A pill that shakes fate. The perfected pill rested in his palm. Smooth. Stable. Complete. For a long moment, Xiao Yan simply observed it in silence. This time, there was no doubt. No hesitation. Because he knew. This was different. You understand the difference now. The calm voice of Yao Chun broke the stillness. Xiao Yan nodded slowly. Yes. Before. His pills were crude. Unstable. Flawed. But now. This one felt complete. Balanced. Then tell me. Yao Chen's gaze sharpened slightly. What changed? Xiao Yan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the cauldron. At the herbs. At the flame. Nothing changed. Yao Chen's eyes flickered. Go on. The process is the same. Xiao Yan continued calmly. But I changed. Silence followed. Because that was the correct answer. Yao Chen gave a faint nod. Exactly. Alchemy is not about the method. It's about the person using it. The truth settled deeply. Because now, Xiao Yan understood. The difference between failure and perfection was not the process. It was control, understanding, and himself. Good. Yao Chen turned slightly. Then it's time. Xiao Yan's gaze sharpened. Time for what? Yao Chen's expression grew serious. To use it. The words carried weight. Because until now, everything had been preparation. Training. Practice. But this was reality. Use it how? Yao Chen looked at him. Consume it. Silence. Xiao Yan's eyes widened slightly. Now? Yes. Yao Chen's voice was firm. A pill's true value is proven when it's used. The meaning was clear. Creation alone was not enough. It had to serve its purpose. Xiao Yan looked at the pill again. This time, not as a creation, but as something to be tested. All right. Without hesitation, he placed it into his mouth. The moment it dissolved, the reaction began. A surge of energy spread through his body. Warm. Controlled. His exhausted dou qi began to recover. Slowly at first. Then faster. His eyes widened. It's working! Because this time, the energy was stable. No backlash. No instability. Only smooth restoration. Yao Chen observed quietly. Good. Because this was success. Xiao Yan clenched his fist slightly, feeling the returning strength. So this is the power of a pill. Yao Chen nodded. And this, his gaze sharpened, is only the beginning. Because higher grade pills would do far more. Heal injuries. Increase strength. Break limits. The possibilities were endless. High above, Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered once more. Pill effect verified. Efficiency stable. Energy conversion optimal. Now he truly understands. Because until now, Xiao Yan had only seen one side of alchemy: creation. But now, he had experienced its result. Its impact. Below, Xiao Yan slowly exhaled. His body recovered. His mind clear. He looked at his hands. Then, at the cauldron. His gaze changed. Because now, he didn't just see it as a tool. He saw it as a path. A path that could lead not just to strength, but to dominance, influence, control over fate itself. The flame within the cauldron flickered once more, calm, steady, like a quiet promise. Because from this moment onward, would not just restore energy, they would shape destiny. And one day, they would shake the entire continent. Chapter 49, The First Transaction. The pills he created, the courtyard returned to silence. It was not the silence of training. It was the silence before movement. At the center stood Xiao Yan, his expression calm, his breathing steady after consuming the pill. The fatigue from before gone, replaced by clarity and strength. Now you understand. The voice of Yao Chen echoed softly. Xiao Yan nodded. Yes. Because now. Then it's time to take the next step. Xiao Yan's gaze sharpened. There's more? Yao Chen gave a faint smile. Of course. A brief pause. Tell me, what is the true value of a pill? Xiao Yan didn't answer immediately. Because this was not a simple question. It restores Dou Qi. He spoke slowly. It helps in battle. Yao Chen nodded. That's one part. A step forward. But not the most important. Xiao Yan frowned slightly. Then what is? Yao Chen's gaze sharpened. Exchange. Silence. Exchange? Yes. Pills are currency. The words landed heavily. Powerful cultivators need them. Weaker ones rely on them. And because of that, Yao Chen's voice lowered slightly. They can be traded for anything. Resources, weapons, information, everything. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. He saw it. Alchemy wasn't just about strength. It was about influence. Then I need to sell them. His voice was calm, but certain. Yao Chen smiled faintly. Exactly. Your first step into the world. Because until now, everything had been internal. Training. Growth. But this was external. Real. Where? Xiao Yan asked. Yao Chen didn't hesitate. The market. Simple. But not openly. A brief pause. You're still too weak. The warning was clear. If others discovered that he was an alchemist, trouble would follow. Then I go quietly. Yao Chen nodded. Good. Hide your identity. Observe first. Then act. Because the world outside was not forgiving. Xiao Yan looked at the pills laid out before him. Several. His first real creations. I'll take these. He gathered them carefully. Each one a product of effort. Each one a step forward. High above, Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered once more. New objective generated. Sell first batch of pills. Reward, system points plus influence. Now it begins. Because this was the turning point. Not just growth, but expansion. The low. Xiao Yan turned toward the exit of the courtyard. He paused, looking back at the cauldron, at the place where everything had begun. He stepped forward. Because now, he wasn't just training. He was entering the world. And the pills in his hand would be his first step into something far greater. Something that would slowly begin to change everything. The quiet courtyard remained behind him. But ahead, the world awaited. And with it, opportunity, danger, and the first true test of his path as an alchemist. Chapter 50: Shadows of the Market. The streets of Wutan City were alive. Voices overlapped in a constant hum, vendors calling out prices, customers bargaining, footsteps weaving through crowded paths. It was a different world. Not quiet. Not controlled. Chaotic. Moving through the crowd was Xiao Yan. But not as himself. A simple cloak covered his figure, its hood casting a shadow over his face. His steps were steady, measured, neither too fast nor too slow. Unnoticeable. Exactly as intended. Stay aware. The voice of Yao Chen echoed faintly in his mind. The market is not as harmless as it looks. Xiao Yan didn't respond. But his senses sharpened. Because now, this wasn't training. This was reality. His gaze moved carefully across the surroundings. Merchants displaying herbs. Weapons laid out on cloth-covered tables. Small groups negotiating quietly in corners. Everywhere. Opportunity. And danger. There. Yao Chen's voice guided him. Xiao Yan followed the direction. At the center of a busier section stood a larger building. More structured. More controlled. A trading hall. That's where you go. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. Because compared to street vendors, this place was safer. More regulated. But also more watchful. He approached slowly. 2 guards stood at the entrance. Their presence alone, enough to deter trouble. Xiao Yan didn't hesitate. He walked forward. The guards glanced at him briefly, but said nothing. Because cloaked figures were not uncommon here. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. Quieter. More refined. Tables arranged neatly. Private transactions taking place. This was where real exchanges happened. Xiao Yan stepped further in. His hand tightened slightly around the pills hidden within his sleeve. Because this was his first step. Find a counter. Yao Chen instructed calmly. Don't reveal too much. Xiao Yan moved through the hall. Until he found it. A small counter. Staffed by a middle-aged man with sharp eyes. The kind who had seen countless transactions. What do you have? The man's voice was casual, but observant. Xiao Yan didn't speak immediately. Instead, he reached into his sleeve and placed a single pill on the counter. The man's eyes flickered. Because even at a glance, he could tell. A recovery pill. His tone changed slightly. Standard grade. Xiao Yan remained silent, letting the man observe. Because words were unnecessary. Where did you get this? The question came quickly. Too quickly. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed slightly beneath the hood. Does it matter? His voice. Calm. Controlled. The man paused. Then smiled faintly. Fair enough. Because he understood. Some things were better left unasked. I can offer you a fair price. Xiao Yan didn't respond immediately. Because this was the moment. Not of creation, but of exchange. How much? The man leaned slightly forward. For one pill. He paused. A decent amount. Not specific. Testing. Xiao Yan understood. Too vague. His response was immediate. The man's smile widened slightly. You're not inexperienced. No. Because now, Xiao Yan wasn't just an alchemist. He was a player. In a larger game. Then let's be clear. The man adjusted his tone. I'll offer you a specific number. Fair. But not generous. Xiao Yan considered it. Then, add more. Simple. Direct. The man's eyes sharpened. You're confident. I know its value. Silence followed. Then, the man chuckled softly. Fine. He increased the offer. This time. Better. Acceptable. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. Deal. The exchange was completed. Coins changed hands. The pill was taken. And just like that, it was done. Xiao Yan turned away. Without lingering. Because staying longer would only draw attention. As he stepped out of the hall, the noise of the market returned. Louder than before. But now, it felt different. Because he had taken his first step. Not as a cultivator. Not as a trainee. But as an alchemist. In the real world. High above. Xiao Zhen watched silently. The golden interface shimmered brightly. First transaction, completed. Reward, system points earned. Influence, initiated. Good. Because now, the foundation was complete. From here, everything would expand. Below. Xiao Yan walked through the crowd once more. But this time, there was no uncertainty in his steps. Because now, he understood. Power wasn't just cultivated. It was built. Traded. Expanded. And the small exchange he had just made was only the beginning of something far greater. Thank you for listening to today's audio series. If you enjoyed this story and want more content like this, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Ollie's and the Savior so you never miss an update. And for those who love Hindi audio series, don't forget to check out and subscribe to our second channel AZTS Novel Hindi for more incredible stories. See you in the next episode with another amazing story. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.